Welcome to the Flip Your Script podcast. I'm Christy Peel. What began in 2015 as a single road trip to the Great Smoky Mountains turned into a journey to all 63 U.S. national parks and a mission to see the world together. Today, we're welcoming back Grandma Joy and her grandson, Brad Ryan. By sharing their adventures through Grandma Joy's road trip on social media, they've inspired tens of thousands of people to reconnect with loved ones, embrace the outdoors, and see how authentic storytelling on social media can be a powerful force for good. Welcome back, you guys.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
It's so fun to see all the places you've been since we last talked, and you now have more than 100,000 followers on Instagram. Does that blow your mind?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think when our story went viral, I had less than 100. So it wasn't something that I was working towards, but I'm not surprised that people connected to her once they knew who she was and saw her rolling down a sand dune and thinking, what is that? You know, it makes you do a double take when you see somebody in their mid 80s doing those kind of unexpected things in nature and the great outdoors. I always say Grandma Joy's road trip was not a passive experience. It wasn't her just sitting in the passenger seat looking out the window as I drove by all these beautiful places. She was ziplining and whitewater rafting and hiking and climbing mountains and, you know, all canoeing and paddleboarding and dog sledding and you name it. And so I think that's what resonates with people the most, is that they want to see the potential for their own lives as they age, which is a universally human thing.
Absolutely. And I normally don't ask women or anyone their ages, Grandma Joy, but he mentioned mid 80s, but that's where this thing started. Would you mind sharing your age now?
95, but I have a birthday coming in March and I'll be 96.
Okay, that is so impressive because when people think about social media and its potential for good and for helping people, and you talked about it, Brad, it started so small and now it hasn't been overnight. It's been years and years and years. And now you're at this large audience with sponsored trips and you're taking other people on trips and you're writing a book. So many things have happened, but it didn't start that way. And what do you attribute the growth to? I mean, you said a little bit like it's the story and it's the human connection, but it's also so authentic.
And it was a pure intention. We were out there doing something to heal our family. And that's what the book is called. It's called Grandma Joy and Me, A Journey of Healing, one national park at a time. So we weren't out there. That was the national parks in a way. It was just an arbitrary goal. It could have been, let's go to every museum or every ball diamond, if that had been her dream, whatever it might be. It was the backdrop for us to be able to have these deep conversations that a lot of families avoid. And healing requires I think healing requires an honest confrontation of the past, not to dwell on the past, but to not sweep things under the rug and leave them there to fester, but to actually reach a mutual understanding. And that's I understand, not always possible depending on who's on the other side of that equation, but she was willing to do that with me. And, you know, to be honest, I always say I'm not a great photo editor, and my mediocre skills are what led me to Instagram, because I found it pretty easy to brighten it up and add a little saturation and sharpen it and whatnot. So I was just trying to make my pictures look a little prettier. And I tagged the national parks just so that we were part of that archive, that we had been there. But it wasn't the intention to get a lot of attention. And I think and I understand a lot of social media users are looking for that large following. And in our case, it was, I think, just rooted in this really pure intention to heal our wounds. And so, but once again, it was such a dynamic thing that we were doing. And I knew that when we were even in the early days at our very first national park, when all these people were giving her a standing ovation at the top of the mountain that she climbed and giving her a high five on the way up, I understood that she was doing something unique and inspiring.
And of all the places you've been since then, Grandma Joy, what's your favorite?
I think it was going to Alaska.
What
Was
about
this
you want to know about internationally?
Oh,
probably tell her about the rhino dehorning.
Now what?
About, you always talk about South Africa and the
Oh,
rhino.
yeah. When we went to South Africa, we got to dehorn the
Rhinos.
rhinos. And it was something that when we finished, we felt like we had accomplished something and we'd saved that many rhinos from getting shot. And it was, it's something you always remember. Every time you see one, say, oh, we did that. But it was a wondrous thing. And all the people that worked with us, I asked the gentleman how long he'd been doing this, and he said 9 years. And he said, I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah. So if your audience isn't familiar, South Africa has been experiencing a rhino poaching crisis since 2008. And we were in the greater Kruger ecosystem. I'm a wildlife veterinarian by profession. And so we took a team with us to South Africa. And in 3 days, we dehorned, meaning we just cut off the horn of the rhino, which is like I'd say it's like they have a fingernail growing on the end of their nose. So it's keratin. There's no blood supply there. There's no nerves, but it takes the bounty off the head of the rhino when you take their horn. We took over $2 million of black market rhino horn and took it off the rhinos and off the market. But she was out there after we would dehorn them. She was just out there painting their horns with hoof oil and doing her part to be a nurse.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And Grandma Joy, do you still live in your small town? Have you moved? You live in the same small town?
Been there forever. Raised all 3 boys in there. And so it's been like 68 years I've lived in that same house.
And when this all started, your view of the world was small.
Right. I crocheted on the front porch.
And now you can crochet in Africa or Antarctica. I mean, you have expanded your view of the world and have taken us along with you. And every time I see your content, I always think it's never too late. Like, it's never too late to not just tell your story, but it's never too late to rewrite your story or to change the direction of your story. And that's what resonates so deeply with me about what you're doing. I love the relationship. I love the healing. All of that is fantastic. And you've given a platform to have those kinds of conversations. But the never too late for a relationship, never too late, it just resonates. And is that something you hear regularly when you meet people who know who you are, when you're recognized like a celebrity on these trips?
Well, yeah, because when we started out, we meant to get older people up on their feet. Not to think that because you're 65, you can't do this and you can't do that. Get up and try. That's what we wanted them to do, is get up and try. Think positive. If somebody asks you to go somewhere, never say no. So,
which is amazing. And Brad, you could have done all of this and told no one. You could have done all of this and you two would have a great relationship and the healing would have happened, but you wouldn't have been able to inspire other people to do it too. And when I think about your social media platform, that's the opportunity that using social media for good gives us. So talk about that.
That's what means the most to me, is hearing from, the letters are sort of in 2 different camps, I would say, broadly speaking. One would be the widow or the woman or the man who lost a son early in life or a child early in life and had found it difficult to maintain or reclaim that adventure in their life that they had before that happened. So tragedy and how we live in the aftermath of that's something that a lot of people write to me about. And they're going to learn a lot more about her story in my book, but we've already shared that, she's outlived all 3 of her sons. Her husband died in 1994. And so, there are a lot of people that have been dealt similar cards in life and it destroyed them. They stopped experiencing joy. And I think Grandma Joy represents a flicker of hope for people that you can do both at once. The grief never goes away. You hold that in your hand as you march through life and embrace new adventures and opportunities with a smile and an open heart. And so that's one camp. And then I, of course, I hear from people my age who say, a lot of it is, I wish I had done that before it was too late, or I'm going to do it now because I saw your story, and I wanted to let you know that I'm taking my grandfather to Yellowstone this summer. We already had it planned, but we added another person to the itinerary. So that means the most to me. And I think we all have the ability to do that. We all have the ability to live our lives authentically, purely, and if you can share that on social media and let other people use that as a guiding light, I think that's a beautiful thing.
So well said. And some of the things that you are involved with and talk about, I imagine you also get the rage baity kind of nasty sort of commenty stuff. How do you not let that get in your head? And most content creators, and even myself with having people respond to things that I put out there, there's the 100 good ones and it's the one negative one. And the one negative one sometimes is the thing that like, so how do you focus on the 99 and not let the one get under your skin and take you to a place where you lose sight of the mission?
I think the first thing I always tell myself is this might be a bot. Let's start there. This might not even be a human being on the other end of the computer here. But if it is, this is obviously somebody who's probably deeply hurt in some way to be spending their time lashing out, especially at us, because we try to, I think we walk a pretty neutral line. So I think it's really important, once again, just to understand that we live in volatile times. There are always questions of, are these even people? Because there are a lot of bots that are out there designed to do exactly that, to create this kind of division and consternation. And so I try to just, honestly, I usually either delete it or block it and move on, because once again, we've had this platform since I think 2019, and it has been almost 99.999% love. So I feel pretty proud of what we've done with this platform. But yeah, man, the trolls are out there in full force. And I think honestly, in my opinion, neutrality is the best response to that. I think if they are trying to bait you, they're waiting, they're hitting refresh, waiting on that comment to come back at them. And when you don't give it to them, that's the most powerful thing you can do.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So we know you have a book coming out. I'd love for you to talk more about that.
I have it right here.
Woo.
It's a real thing. Yeah, it's been almost a decade in the making, really, but I didn't sit down at the computer and start writing it until about a year and a half ago. And I don't think I could have written this book if I hadn't been back in Duncan Falls, Ohio at the scene of the crime, not only because it gave me access to her to be able to relive these memories and really capture her voice in the book, but also I learned that muses are real and they're only available to certain people in certain ways. And you have to figure out what works for you. And so for me, time in nature, a lot of the book was written when I was just walking through the woods, recording my voice, and then I would sit down and transcribe the things that resonated. But I wanted people to really understand. There were so many parts of our story that I didn't share on purpose because I knew that I couldn't hand that over to a journalist to tell. And I couldn't serve the truth of our story in a 5-minute news piece or an article. So this is our journey of healing. So as we're going through the national parks, I think of each national park as a classroom in a way, and certain conversations were elicited by whatever we were experiencing in that given moment. And so the conversations that we had and the unexpected detours that we took along the way to really come to a place of mutual healing and understanding. We come from a family of grudge holders, and that's something that I inherited. I don't think it started with her, but she certainly handed it down to my father, who handed it down to me. And at a certain point, I think we all have to look at our lives and say, is this anger serving our lives? Is this resentment serving our lives? And if you're in a position, if you've acquired that wisdom of and connected the dots through the generations, I think intergenerational healing is really only something that you can do for yourself. And breaking that chain is what the book is about.
Grandma Joy, is it a good book?
Oh, yes, it really is. He has threads me little dabs of it.
I've read every word of it. I would finish a chapter and go to her house and read it to her.
But
Did you edit it, Grandma Joy? Did he say things that you thought, you know what, maybe not?
I don't know. I haven't read that much of it. I'll be chasing him with a broom before I get done reading it.
She's heard more than what's in there. I had to cut 50,000 words from the book. I wrote War and Peace, and they were looking for something the realm of 300 pages. So
Well, you have your next book partially started.
yeah. I mean, I'm a little sad that not every national park is represented in the book. It would have been a giant
Oh, yes.
tome, but
Congratulations. Writing a book is a feat, and going down the generational rabbit holes that you did, and for the purpose of helping people. I so resonate with the concept of the intergenerational healing and relationships. I recently wrote a book and reached out to you, Brad, about it, because through the process of writing my book, I read all of my grandmother's diaries, and she started writing them in the 60s. And she passed away in 2011, and I have her 2011 up until she could no longer write. And to go back down and to see the story of my life through someone else's eyes and understand some of the family things going on that happened before I was alive, and then how did I feed into some of these things? I mean, it's powerful. And I didn't share a lot of that in the book, but very healing for me, and what a gift.
yeah, and that's really I think the next chapter of our social media platform. It's going to be a lot more, I think it's going to be a lot more personal in terms of, everything is out there now. And so now I want to apply those lessons to today and show how you live in the present when you've settled and when you've forgiven and you've it's a lot. I just shared an Instagram story the other day that really resonated with me. It was the singer Erykah Badu, and she was talking about how in order to evolve, you have to leave that beautiful corpse of your past self behind, and you want to look back and reach for it because it's familiar, even if it's toxic. It's just our human nature to reach for the familiar, but living in a new state of being is harder to do. But I feel like when I wrote the book, I felt like I have a new commitment to myself to do that, I don't need to keep running on that hamster wheel. I want to live in a current. I mean, she's still alive. What a blessing. She'll be 96 in March. We're still traveling, and we've had all those conversations about the past. I want to be in the moment. And so that's what I think our platform is going to look like from this moment forward. It's going to be a lot more human, raw. I mean, maybe it always has been, but what I mean is a lot more honest and present focused.
Oh, I can't wait. I look forward to it. And I imagine now you have the significant reach. So with your social media platform, so you'll be able to impact more people than had you started that way at the very beginning. So I applaud you for evolving not just yourself and your relationship, but also the way that you can use social media for good.
I love what you were saying about your grandmother's diaries. And I think that's what I want to get across to people right now, especially in divided times. That rears its ugly head in families as well, and neighbors and friends and all these different folks that have kind of turned on each other. And I think we all could use a deep breath and a little grace. And even the people that hurt you the most have likely been hurt by someone else, and they're doing the best they can, even if they're not doing right by you or as good as you think they could do. I find that is the most radical thing you can do, is love somebody who hurt you. Easier said than done, but when you actually do it and you can look back with a little less anger and resentment, it allows you to lean into joy in a way that you couldn't before. I don't think people know how liberating it is. I thought forgiveness was a bad word. I thought it was letting somebody off the hook for what they did. And really what it is, it's about taking ownership back for yourself. You're allowing yourself to live from a place of presence and joy, rather than dwelling on things that happened in the past that you can never rewrite. And so that's a big part of what I had to confront in this book and on this journey with her.
And the excellent point that you've made is even if you do all that work and you're in a great place and you've moved forward, if the other person doesn't want to talk about it or think about it or get involved, like that's okay. But you can never then have the relationship where you and your grandma got, because you both had things to work through together. You both were willing to look at the past and have the conversations. If only one of you were to do it, one of you would be feeling healthy. The other one is still stuck. You can't force someone to come with. So what a gift that you both were willing to do that.
It is. And I hope that people look at their lives, apply, read this book or just learn about our story, and then do your best to apply that to your own life. And the pictures on Instagram are all smiles, but there were tears, there were raised voices, there were silent treatments. She's good at that one. I'm just kidding. Right? She would just turn her hearing aids off if she was tired of hearing me. No,
that's a good trick.
What do you think? Like, when you look back on the journey, it was a roller coaster, wasn't it?
But we didn't hold any grudges.
In the end, yeah.
No, that wasn't the thing to hold grudges. It was to clear the air and start over.
Yeah.
So don't sweat the small stuff.
It's great advice. Great advice. And your story, we've referenced it a few times. It has been all over, not just in Ohio, not just regionally, nationally, globally. Of all the press and all the people you've got to meet, because you've gotten to meet some really cool people. You sit on airplanes next to cool people. Who have you met, or what, national press or international press have you been involved with and thought, oh my goodness, I cannot believe this is my life? I'd like you both to answer the question, because I bet your answers are different.
Yes, and getting ready to take a bite of food and somebody sticks their head around you. So you take my picture? Oh yeah, just a minute.
Who have you met? Like
oh, that lady that gave me that money.
Oh.
She thought this little lady kept following me around, and I thought, I don't know, is something hanging out or what the problem is? She just, every time I see her, she bobbed her head and smiled, and I smiled at her, and she kept saying, here, take this. And I said, oh, what is it? Oh, I don't want your money. It's not money. It's gift. It's gift. It's not money. It's a gift. I said,
she came to see a speech that I gave, and she was a fan of hers. And so she came up, and it was her custom to give,
wow.
I still
has it. She never spent it.
And she said, you come to my country, you come see me. Okay. If we ever get to your country, I'll come and see you.
What about, so she was asking about all the people that have interviewed you, though. She wanted to know about interviews, and if there's anybody that you met that kind of blew you away.
That one lady made your heart sad. She told us about her.
No, interview. Like she was saying, like celebrity interviews. People like Tamron Hall and Rachel Ray, people like that.
Yeah, well, this lady was from the newspaper, but she said our story made her heart hurt because her grandmother passed away and she didn't get to go take her anywhere or anything, And she said that all brought back the same story to her and made her heart hurt.
Was that in Argentina?
No, it was in the United States, but when she had dark hair and she sat over there that side, and she actually tears was rolling down her cheeks, and
I love that I asked you about celebrities, and the stories that stick with you are real people. Like, that speaks so much to your character and who you are. And when we think influencer, and people, taking pictures of you and handing you money, you're an influencer, but the reason people love you isn't because you act like an influencer.
I didn't think about that, but I don't know. It's hard to make it makes your heart hurt for them. And so we've met wonderful people. We really have. And
so it wasn't Mario Lopez who rocked your world?
Who?
I love this so much because Wouldn't the world just be a better place if they said a celebrity name and someone was like, who? Instead of like, oh my gosh, let me lose my mind.
I tell people that all the time, like of all the people in the world to have had is like a sliver of internet celebrity or public figure status, like the person who is going to be the least affected by that is her.
Awesome.
She cares nothing about that. I yeah, but I mean it is surreal to see your grandmother at this age, especially being interviewed by Rachel Ray and Tamron Hall and Ryan Seacrest and all these different people that we've had the ability to meet. And I think what's awesome about it is just that, you know, that a woman of her age can break through into the current pop culture buzz, right? I mean, it was just, but once again, I think what it comes down to is that we were doing something that nobody else was doing. And I still think that everybody loves a good adventure, but everybody is very nostalgic about grandparents as well. And I think people are universally sort of afraid of getting older. And
That's one thing you can't stop.
yeah, but yeah, when we were just flying back from Austin, Texas. I think I know what you were referencing. And I don't know why she was flying Southwest, but I ended up sitting next to Tanya Tucker. And funny enough, I had written about her. She was already in my book because we listened to the album that Brandi Carlile produced, her comeback album that won her first Grammy a few years ago, was the soundtrack to our 45-day road trip around the US. And then inexplicably, she ends up sitting next to me and she knew who we were. She had seen the story and she told me, if there's a movie, call her. She gave me her number. She said, call me and you have my blessing to put my music in the movie if it happens. So
is there going to be a movie? Did you just is this a spoiler happening?
I don't know. I think anything's possible. I have no idea. The book comes out on June 16th, so I have to one thing at a time. I'm just going to focus on the book tour and just trying to promote this because I want this to actually make a difference for people. I think there's a lot of loneliness in the world. I think there's a lot of disconnection and a lot of anger and resentment, and I'm not so grand in my own thinking to think that I can single-handedly do this, but our little drop in the ocean, I want to create some ripple effect of positivity if I can.
I love it. And I've been following you all for a long time. And you mentioned a word, disconnection. And when people think about social media, they often think about disconnection and diverse or starting fights and, discord and all these things. And you're proof that it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be all of this hateful content. And if your social media feed is making you upset or ragey, change your feed, change the people you're following, and get your feed filled up with things that make you think interesting thoughts and introduce you to new ideas and make you want to do good in the world and be kind and positive. The content is out there, and you guys are proof of that.
Yeah, it's out there, and that has to be a movement from the people. We have to do that for ourselves. There are good news organizations as well that are worth following. I mean, there are people out there that are trying to flip the script.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're trying to flip the script, and they're trying to say we don't have to live this way. We can heal each other's wounds if we're willing to show up for each other and show our authentic selves to people. And that's what I try to remind myself of that all the time. Like, just because, if you're going to wake up in the morning and doom scroll and turn on the news and start your day that way, you're going to set yourself up for a gloomy day and a gloomy week and a gloomy life. But there are people out there that are trying to really shine a spotlight on the good that's happening in the world and the people that are out there fighting for a better world. And we lost Jane Goodall recently, and that she was one of my greatest heroes and probably my greatest hero. And I was fortunate to meet her a couple times. And I just think to myself, with her being gone, her greatest hope was that we would all hold on to hope, not give in to apathy, and everybody do our part. And that's like picking up that piece of trash that you see on the ground as you're walking by. That doesn't feel like you can clean up. That little piece of trash doesn't feel like you're actually doing much. But if 8 billion people made that same decision, yes, it actually does. And so I think we all have to just be that. Being the next Jane Goodall is a big, that's a lofty ask. but some version of what she was out there lecturing about and preaching, I think, is what we need to do. We have to find and there are other Jane Goodalls in the world. We just have to amplify it. We have to find them, and we have to amplify their voices.
That's right. And before you can impact 100,000 people or 100 million people, you have to impact one.
Yes.
And the goal, right, is to who's right in front of you right now. And you all found that, and you figured out how to share that story authentically and bring people along and then get deeper in the conversation. And I appreciate what you're doing so much. Thanks for being a voice for good out there. And I want to hear where are you going next? You've got 5 continents down, 2 left. Where are you going?
So we're heading to Ireland in April, and I'm gonna I haven't figured it out yet, but we're gonna add on a little mainland Europe leg of some kind. I don't know where that's gonna be, but I feel like I'm always the OCD part of my brain will never rest if we weren't actually in mainland Europe. So we were in Iceland, which is technically partly on the European continental plate, and even that just doesn't feel quite Europe enough for me. So I don't know. I think we're going to see the Alps somewhere, maybe Austria, Switzerland.
In February, we're going to.
No, that trip got canceled.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
But we're trying to figure out an Asia leg and an Australian leg. That'll be the end of it. And if we're flying all the way to Australia, we'll just do Asia at the same time. Probably. We'll see what that looks like. But yeah, we're almost to the 7-continent goal. And then that came about because after we finished the 63 national parks, she had a lot of ardent fans who were like, "What's next?" And so I was like, "Well, I need."
Because he had to figure out something.
It's like I want a smaller number than 63.
Well, and after the 7 continents, you have to figure out the next thing.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's Mars. I don't know.
Scuba diving in all the oceans. I don't. There's a lot of options. It's a big world, and you got a great travel partner.
And there's always the possibility that we'll get a 64th U.S. national park at some point as well. So I haven't heard any buzz about that, but
and we sure met a lot of wonderful people. Really, you just never know who's around the next corner.
It's a great point. It's a great point.
And our national parks are one of the last places in our country where we can all walk on common ground. And I think it's so important now more than ever. I mean, that honestly, you were asking about trolls. What the people, if people ever come for me, it's usually when I'm pointing out something that's happening with our parks being under attack. And these are objective truths. And I'm not, and my intention in sharing that is not to shame any side of the political divide or anything like that. It's just to show people what's happening, because I don't think it is partisan. I think that when I'm in the national parks, I'm meeting people of every type, and everybody is equally inspired by the sunrise over the Grand Canyon or
beautiful waterfall,
Old Faithful blowing. I mean, this is a lot of people fall prey to this, and it's the easiest thing you can do is just get reflexively angry about something. But I think if we can all just look through the sorry.
Yeah, you saw that. I get the lawyer.
I'll sell that video to you, Grandma Joy. So if you're not watching and you're just listening, he just moved his hand and it just hit her glasses and they moved a little. It was very funny. She's not hurt. No grandmas are being injured in the production of this podcast.
Lens. It really was. Yeah, look through that lens of common humanity and the things that inspire all of us. And our national parks, no, that is not partisan. That is something that we share, and I think it brings out the best in all of us. There's nothing more refreshing and nothing more uplifting than sitting down across a campfire from somebody that you're meeting for the first time and just talking about your grandparents, talking about where you were from and what you saw in the park today. And you don't have to give in to the that's the easiest thing you can do, is just bring up something divisive and find a reason to not connect with somebody. The deeper spiritual work is to transcend that. And that is healing. That is healing, to be able to have that moment with somebody that you may not see eye to eye with on every issue, but to have a beautiful conversation around the campfire and walk away feeling like you saw something good in them and they saw something good in you. That's what we all need to do.
Yeah,
We all
share your story, right? Share your story, look for the common ground. And whether the one person goes to an RV, one person goes to a tent, and one person goes to their multi-million-dollar Airbnb, that's fine. That's not what we're talking about, right? It doesn't matter who you
Oh,
voted
right.
for. It's all the same, right? We can, if we look for the same, and that's what I think you're sharing on your social is what we all can agree. It's beautiful, is important,
Right.
is
It's so
valuable.
Yeah, that's how we heal this country is one conversation at a time. And once again, when you feel that reflexive anger creeping up or that tension, you have to diffuse that within yourself and redirect the conversation towards a more loving place. I think we can do that. I think when people start doing that work at the individual level and they start to try to heal their own friendships and their own families, then we can work on our own communities. And I think that ripples out and it's going to take some time, but we all owe it to I mean, our life is short. It's fleeting. It's beautiful. It's a miracle. And I don't think we want to look back on our life. And I don't think we're going to be pleased with ourselves if we look back and it was, time spent writing mean things on Instagram. There's another way.
I always say, speak to someone, say hello, and give them a smile. Maybe that's the only person talks to them all day long, or whatever. And if somebody has a pretty dress on, I say, "My, you look nice this morning," and they smile. They say, maybe that no one told them that today, ever.
And that was true when you were 10 years old, right? And it's true now. And now we have the opportunity to bring that same positivity to influence many, many people on social media. So the same concept of if you see someone that is doing something great, give them a like. And
Yes.
if they're doing something valuable or encouraging, comment or share it. And that's how we can get those same feelings spreading. Because back in the day, you could do that one person at a time, and that's valuable and important. Now we can do it to many, many people at the same time. So we just have greater influence and impact. And you all are the proof of taking something that's timeless and true and not changing and expanding it and bringing it to a modern day culture and modern day technology. So I applaud what you're doing. Best of luck on that book. I look forward to reading it and
Thank you.
following your travels. And I hope someday to give you a hug in person.
Oh, I hope so too. I hope we can meet in person and let's try to manifest that. Especially, yeah, we'll be out which corner of the country are you in?
Minneapolis.
Oh yeah, you're not far.
If
You're
I'm
not
out your way, I will let you know. If you're out my way, you let me know. We'll make it happen.
I would love that.
All the best to both of you. Keep telling your stories and healing the world. Thanks for using social media for good. Safe travels.
Thanks, Christy. We'll see you soon.